6 days of pure magic. Human Design Rave Festival 2024.
Hey guys, and welcome to Human Design Rave Festival 2024. And today I'm talking to Peter Berv, my dear colleague from United States. Hello, Peter.
Hello, happy to be here.
And actually, we had Peter in the marathon, and somehow I really felt this very special connection with Peter because so many values that I've been living, connection with nature, with different modalities in nature, and having a yurt, living in the yurt, and doing work with the sound as well. Like, so we have so many like crossing topics that we could just talk and talk forever. And
hmm
yeah, I'm wondering, actually, I never asked you, how did you come to this path of working with the shamanism and really connecting to nature as a source of being? Maybe we'll start with that.
Sure. I had, kind of an interesting um, introduction to it. And when I was a teenager, I I switched schools when I moved to went to high school, and at that time I had already had a lot of kind of mystical inclinations, and my friends recognized that, and and they said, "Hey, I went to this school in the city where people came from all over in Maine and Portland, Maine." And my friend said, "Hey, there's this lady that lives out in the woods where we live. She's kind of weird. She says she's a shaman or something like that. You should come meet her." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay." And then after a few times, they said, "You really should come." So I finally went out and I met this woman, and ended up having an amazing connection and finding out we had a little they had a little, like, a clan of people who'd get together, and on all, like, the full moons and the whatever, the different sacred days, and I just started apprenticing with her and going out. I can't remember the frequency I'd go out, but maybe every other week or something, and we would just have a night together and we would talk, and then I came into this kind of community at a young age, and um and then actually in my junior year in high school, I was going to do an independent study on shamanism, and I went to to this teacher I was studying with, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to do an independent study on shamanism," and she said, "Okay, fine, come back in 6 months and tell me what you figured out." And I was thinking, "Oh, you're just going to teach me everything and I can just present it." She said, "Okay, well, that's what you want to do. Well, go out and do your own exploration." So I just started studying things on my own, and um, engaging myself in my own rituals, I guess you could say, that I'd learned about, and meeting different people in the community. And so that's kind of how it began. It was pretty interesting. Um, but uh, and bringing in lots of different teachings from lots of different traditions from all over the world, and um, so that's kind of how my path really got initiated in a big way.
So did you go alone in the nature and stay there for a while?
Oh
How
yeah,
how did
in
you?
a very very 3-5 kind of way, reading about vision quests, and then going off and doing, solos in nature for a few days, but totally unprepared, totally not going into it correctly, um, not coming out of it correctly. So yeah, I think I've learned I've learned in the 3-5 kind of way, a little wisdom over time, 30, 40 years of just throwing myself into things and trying, like something like that, or taking medicine on my own, or different things like that. What things you probably I don't always recommend for people. But
Well,
Yes.
3-5, it's kind of normal. It's all for trial and error process. I'm being 1-3 myself. I remember someone gave me a Castaneda book. I was
Mhm.
15, and reading that was like basically reading sci-fi, but feeling that on the other hand is like it's like real. It's not sci-fi, it's possible. So it's all about where is
Mhm.
that teacher? Where is that place where I can find them? And really
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
looking, searching. Hmm.
Castaneda books, I mean, reading about, I mean, even the miracles that Jesus performed, or the siddhas of India. Those are my inspirations in beginning of my path. Like you're saying, all these miracles, and they're all saying you can do it too if you can access those places. Is tantric masters, or yeah, can, you know, change their relationship with matter and the dream time, and all these different practices are just, yeah. But there's all these texts and teachings out there which say that you can do it too. So that was definitely my inspiration. I'm sure, like it was for most of us.
Yeah, but then human design showed up in your life. Like how did that happen?
How did it show up in my life? Um,
What's the entry point? I love the term entry point. It's kind of always describes the geometry of this trajectory.
well, yeah, it came into my life at a time where I had played a lot of these things out, and also seen a lot of the discrepancies, or the hidden teachings behind the teachers. I'd been, a little disillusioned from getting kicked out of a community, and I was at a point in my life where I was very skeptical, and really only wanted the most logical, concrete, mechanical thing that there was no question. And so, because in the spiritual world, there's a lot of whatever,
I
faith.
know.
Let's just say you have to put a lot of faith in, whether it's your teacher or something someone's telling you. It's a lot of concepts. And so I was like, I don't want concepts. I want to know what I just cannot question, and it's just undeniable. So I was that's kind of where I was personally, in my inner world. Was That's where I was. So when it came to me, and someone convinced me to go get a reading, I it all changed from there. I went into the reading kind of skeptical, and then 5 hours later, I had to, my analyst had to kick me out of his house because I was so blown away. How did you know all these things? And how did you see all these things just from my birth time, and the things we all probably experience? So, and I've just been going from there. And so it feels like a full circle, because so many uh, teachings that I've read about in the past, I'll say, things are changing. There's uh, the way that we practice ascension practices, or you don't need to get out of your body anymore. You don't need to go to the caves in the Himalayas anymore. There's all these kind of discussions about that change in the way that we can awaken to ourselves. And so, but what are the practices? So human design just embodies that. It helps you get into your body. It really is the culmination of so many things we've been seeking, and but still so addicted to these seven-centered ways of, it's got to be goal oriented, and it has to be, um deny the body, and this hard tapas on the body to transcend, and we've been attracted to these things, but now we know we don't need to do that anymore. I mean, even when I had a near death experience 20 something years ago, that was so the message that I got from that. It was like the biggest takeaway, which was, live your life fully, be in your body, be in your experience. It's even okay if you forget, the light, or forget, um, yeah, that kind of thing. So just be fully present in what you came here to do. And to me, that's just kind of what human design is all about, in terms of, yeah, embodiment, fully embodying who we came here to be, and living out our purpose, not in a goal-oriented way, but just being ourselves.
Yeah, it's amazing how our minds are always looking for entertainment instead of just being. Yeah, we're looking for these magical experiences. I'm just watching my own mind and how it's always like stretching the limits and what if and wanting to go beyond, and then like discovering that basically the magic happens when you carry wood and carry what? Carry wood, chop wood
Chop
and
water.
carry water, and just do like such a basic things in life. And that's when you discover, that's when strategy and authority is really much deeper than how it sounds in your first reading or after you take living your design, and
Mhm.
really can go endlessly in that. Yesterday, I had a really interesting experience. I had a reading with a psychologist who never heard about human design but has been practicing for many years. And when she received the reading, she gave me a very interesting feedback. She says, probably for you it's very mundane, normal things, but my mind was blown away with everything you told me. And you know what I heard myself saying was like, no, it's still amazing for me as well, because every time I go through keynoting, I really discover such a magic of life, and as a projector also live that person through my own aura, even when it's on Zoom. And I guess that's the magic also what you are talking about, is that after you discover the depth of this system, like, okay, another journey, another ceremony, yeah, but the essence is not happening in those moments. It happens what you do when you come out of all these experiences and just live your human life, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's really the essence of this talk that I want to give about, where the human design and the shamanic practice kind of cross over, because it doesn't have to look like anything.
Got it.
It doesn't
Got it.
have
It
to
was my
look
next
like,
question. Exactly that. Yeah. What are we going to discuss there?
well, a lot of things, because there's a lot to discuss, but really the most important and ultimately is when you really live as yourself, when you live correctly according to your design, there is this experience of alignment, of, yeah, with who you're meant to be, and that connects you to all life. It's like, I'm just kind of thinking of the G center. When you find yourself, when you perfectly align with yourself, you're in perfect resonance with all creation. And so, um but that doesn't, I mean, those are all big fancy words, but it's really yours. Being yourself it doesn't have to look spiritual, it doesn't have to look shamanic. It can be highly logical, it can be um deeply individual, whatever your chemistry is, whatever your design is, whatever your cross and your purpose is. When you just live it out in even the most mundane way, you end up it ends up being a shamanic experience, right? I mean, this is me when you're totally yourself. And but there's something that happens. That's the outer authority, or the magic of outer authority, and just feeling, yeah, totally aligned and supported with what you came here to do. It's the experience of awakening, and it's the kind of thing you just have to experience and know for yourself. But what are all the things that we what are all the ways that we're addicted to homogenization, or that keep us from that, where we're thinking it has to look like this or it has to look like that. It's, it's again my kind of 3-5 approach is, what are the things that are keeping us from that, from just being ourselves and thinking it has to look a certain way. So ultimately, that's the most important thing. And then we can talk about any of the other stuff on top of it, which is just fun to talk about and important too in terms of the mutation that we're about to go through. I mean, we are on the precipice of a huge mutation in our species, in society, and in so many ways. And so, how are we going to meet that? And to me, that's what so many of us came here for, if I can say it like that. I think, however you want to say it, I think we all feel this deep passion about being alive in this time and wanting to participate in this mutation, and what role are we playing in it, and how are we showing up as midwives or world bridgers in this time. And so
Wow. Yeah.
there's a really magical relationship to why we came here and and how are we meeting it. And so that can be, you can bring in the healing practices, the shamanic practices, the medicine stuff if you want, but it can also just be chop wood, carry water. It can be anything in your life. So kind of putting a little curriculum or together, maybe even for a class, which could I'd like to do next year to support ourselves in finding what's your way. How are you here to meet this time? How are you here to meet yourself? Where are the places that we're addicted to homogenization that we can't see? And you can't see it till you see it, but that's kind of what I want to talk about is, ultimately, what's your way, and maybe what are some practices that can support that as well, or how can you find those practices for
Wow.
yourself?
This is so amazing, Peter. I'm listening to you and I'm realizing, because my mind is super logical, and I'm trying to even remember what's the definition of a shamanism. What is a shaman? And shaman is basically a person who mediates the connection with the spirit. And then you're also talking about mutation and the new era. Things are changing. And what is really changing? We're gonna have a 55th gate in the background frequency, which is a connection of us with the spirit, and abundance as a matter of spirit. And putting these things together, my mind is like, maybe we are even to redefine the spirit itself. Like, what is a spirit? What is it going to be a spirit? And I think maybe the era of shamanism is just going to finish, because we are all going to become shamans. So the definition itself will be quite irrelevant, because the spirit is going to go within. So there's going to be no mediator between it and us. What do you think?
Well,
Does
we're
make sense
moving
to
into
you?
the 55-6, and the 55-6 is, I think it's called selfishness. So it's kind of like the same thing. What is your way? And how does that help you access, like you said, the spirit? And I love that, what you're saying.
Yeah, total selfishness. Yeah, of course. I have my Bible always close to me.
I have mine right here too. Hey, same one.
Same one, except mine is in Russian.
Same. Oh, okay. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, I have several, but this one is in Russian. And this is some, actually I never thought about it before that way, that as we talk about the new times, and a lot of professions are gonna disappear, so maybe the concept of shamanism, which is a concept of needing a mediation, is going to disappear, and having that direct connection. And I'm wondering if everybody's going to have direct connection, or some specific people are going to have a direct connection, and how it's all going to be. it's really, really interesting, which is, of course, all can be just a pure speculation, because the truth is that we're not gonna know. We all gotta die to see or not see from other plane how the future or this differentiated future will be like. But definitely in this transition, learning to connect is the key to satisfaction or success and inner peace. Yeah. So you're gonna share practices that helped you to connect deeper, and are these practices are also going to be like connected with human design, or it's a pure shamanic practices? Can you tell a little bit about that?
I don't know yet. I don't
Spoiler,
know what's gonna
spoiler.
come out of me yet. I'm sure I'll share my own story a little bit, uh,
Mm-hmm.
as an inspiration to empower other people to find their own thing. But I don't have specific practices necessarily. But I'll probably just share some of the things that work for me, that have been part of my, um, the kind of thing where it's like maybe it might be something where you think, oh, doesn't everyone feel this way? Doesn't everyone think this kind of thing? And then suddenly you realize, oh, maybe this is just for me. Maybe this keeps coming up because maybe your cognition or the way you feel things or the way you internalize things, that might just be very, very unique for you. And that's what human design shows us is, oh, I thought everyone thought or felt this way, but no, this is unique to me. And then once you can pinpoint that and recognize that and work with that, embrace that, then you can then you see it. And then you can work with it more awareness. But that's the thing with human design is I can only tell you what I know. But there's a quality that comes through when we share our authority. It taps that place inside of us which says, I want to find that authority inside of myself. I want to find my way and find that resonance of what feels like, authority, awakened authority. But we can only share what we know. So I'll probably share some of my own experiences and see if that
Wow,
quality comes through to inspire others.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing because we know a story of Rao Ruhu and how he's been deeply into what we may call as shamanism, but basically traveling different dimensions and doing all kind of practices individually mostly, but definitely influenced by all kinds of traditions and chemistries. And not so many people are actually following that path in traditional human design school. So it's kind of
Hmm.
very, very unique. And I'm personally looking forward to hearing your story. We already had a round one before, but I'm sure that also you and your path is evolving because it's been already a few years ago. And
Hmm.
I wonder what it's gonna be. So
We'll see. I
Ah,
really, and I mean, just part of that has been, and why I'm not giving too concrete an answer is because I've really been experimenting with my rightness too. I'm three parts, my variable is three parts right. And I've been having profound experiences settling into my rightness. It's
mm,
we can go against our design, we can go against our definition all day long. And so for me to settle into my rightness means see what you pull out of me, see what comes out of me in the moment. And so far it's been working really nicely. As in my classes, haven't been preparing as much, just things just come out. And it's a lot of that just comes with time. Uh, Human design is so much about letting it settle in and being right, having two open head centers. It's all repetition, 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 and then over time, it's just all coming back out. And I'm anti-theist, so anti-theist trajectory in my life for my motivation, and so yeah, studying all these things in the first half of my life, and now it's just all coming out, you know.
Mm.
So it's kind of cool to see how it's just coming out, and I don't need to necessarily,
Prepare
yeah.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is the tendency, I guess, for many of us. We've been working so much with the keynotes and materials and teaching courses. You've been teaching all three levels for already years at this point. So of course it's not something you have to prepare. It's already incorporated in your being. And depending on the field in the moment and the juicy quality questions, hopefully, that are gonna come from our participants, the magic will happen.
Hmm. I'm sure I'll prepare a little more for for being on a global stage. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth too much, which I'm always kind of paranoid about as a 3-5 is making a bad joke or uh, saying too much too soon kind of thing. But so I'm sure I'll prepare a little PowerPoint and some bullet points to keep me on track. But
Beautiful. Okay, so we are finishing this round, and just the last thing, what you would like to leave those who've been watching until this point, and what kind of wisdom you want to share as a last word?
I am just very open to connecting with the global community and supporting each other. Like you're saying, open up this maybe another way into seeing human design, a different approach to how we can connect across the world during this mutating time. So, I try to make myself very available for people, and I like a lot of the back end connections and the one-on-one connections seem to be the most meaningful and intimate and deep. And so, uh, this is just a doorway to open up another conversation for us or for you and your community, and and yeah, kind of almost demystifying the shamanic thing. It doesn't have to be a big deal, it's it's about reading energy, navigating energy, working or manipulating energy, according to your nature. So it's really not that big a deal. it's just it's just what happens when you start to
Amazing.
be yourself completely, and um, you just start to read energy more clearly that way. So
Mm.
yeah, leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And guys, see you very, very soon, January 2024, Human Design Rave Festival. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye, Peter.
Get your tickets today. See you soon.